What's up guys, Michael here. In this video, we're going to cover will EVs be cheaper in the future. So first you got to look at supply and demand. Right now, EVs are really high in demand and the supply is pretty much limited. But let's take out this hypothetical case and look at will EVs be cheaper? And if you look at the previous history of gasoline vehicles, it will be cheaper over time. It just takes a really long period of time. But if you take out all the third-party interference and factors, are EVs going to be currently cheaper in the future? Will they be cheaper in the future? So first thing you got to look at who has influenced the economy, who has influenced the purchase of EVs, and what type of subsidies are being given. So if I blindfolded you and put you in front of a car, you have an EV in one hand and you have a gasoline in the other hand, which vehicle will you choose given the price? For example, a Honda Civic, a Toyota Corolla, or Toyota Camry, or a Honda Accord. Those are ranging around between $19,000 to $30,000, depending on what spec you go for. And you look at EV, for example, a Chevy Bolt, $27,000. But too bad, because they are not going to make any more of these vehicles because they're selling at a loss for some reason. And you look at Tesla, one is another cheaper vehicle, which you're looking at minimum price, 41 grand. Now, here is the problem, is why people purchase EVs and why people even go adopt it in the first place. Will it be cheaper? The question is, if you look at subsidies, for example, the federal government is offering up to $7,500, which is quite a lot. If you buy a Tesla Model 3 baseline, it starts around 41 to 43 grand, and depending which year you get, which they're supposed to be at 35 at one point, which they raised up thanks to supply constraints, you literally have basically an interference, meaning is a conflict of interest. Because the market itself is supposed to compete against each other, then you have the government stepping in, providing the subsidies and trying to get people to do a mass adoption. And at the same time you minus $7,500, which doesn't include state. For example, the state of California, which I am in, it's another $4,500. And depending you qualify or not, which most people would, is anyone making under $150,000, or you're filing jointly, which is married coupled, under 300 grand. But the point is, it's not a legitimate source, meaning is it's not, basically you have someone giving you a push. It's not letting people choose. So another good example of this, whether or not it's doing well or not, will EVs go down more in price, which is their adoption of it, meaning is how people are willing and likely to move to that platform. So you gotta look at what type of manufacturer are making the vehicles and what is their goal and what is their financial report and status. First, as a business, they're all trying to make money. Second, you gotta understand what type of position they're trying to take. So the best example I can think of right off the top of my head, if you look at Tesla and you look at someone like the VW Group and you look like something like GM, Government Motors. And first, let's go down with GM, because GM is the easiest one to look at. GM, you owned by Chevy, you have their Corvette line series, you have their Pontiac, you have their Lincoln, all basic American motor brands, and you even share parts with Ford. And why did I call them Government Motors? Because they got bailed out back in 2008. And if this was a completely free market, they will go bankrupt. They wouldn't have went bankrupt if they didn't get bailed out during the Obama administration, which is, okay, fine, you saved a bunch of jobs, but did you improve the product and service? Did you improve the company status financial report? Did you get people to trust in your brand again? And the answer is no, they're still doing horribly. And which proves the point is like their Chevy Bolt. Their Chevy Bolt came out, then they also cut production. Then they had to have to do a lemon because their vehicles was catching on fire. And now they're back to square one. Now they're saying they're going to close the plant because they weren't making enough money for the Chevy Bolt EV. So GM's case, they tried to cover a lot of factors. They're trying to compete in the low end. So what you got to look at, three things: the low end, the middle, and the high end. And of course, you have the really extreme levels, which is like the exotics, the super exotics, or you can call them the hypercars. So Chevy tried to compete in the low end, which is a Chevy Bolt EV, didn't work. They're trying to compete in the middle, which is you're looking at going above Toyota and Honda, getting a line of Acura and Lexus, and starting entry of BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. And of course, you have a lot of people competing. Why would they purchase your car when they can purchase someone else? Unless you're going to slap tariffs, like other countries, slap tariffs on their vehicles like no other tomorrow, so you can get them to buy their product. But at the same time, is if you make a crappy product, people are gonna know, and when they know, they will hammer you for it, and that is what happened with GM. Now we go down to the VW group. The VW group, on the other hand, has a really interesting position. How would they make EVs cheaper? They got so many groups underneath them, and all their groups, they're all categorized on whatever position they're taking. So first, you gotta look at Lamborghini. Lamborghini is their super high end. Their exotic car end, getting close to hypercar level. They're selling their cars at minimum of $200,000 or even more, depending on inflation. You got Porsche, that's within Lamborghini's reach. They're going within competing against Lamborghini, and at the same time going lower, right? Where around the $80,000 mark and going up. And of course, you have their Cayman lineup, which is basically not worth it, because Porsche is trying to market itself as a high-end product, getting close to exotic car lineup of products. So the Cayman, I don't see it doing well, and based on our financial status, it's not doing that great. So they made an announcement about a year ago that they're converting it to electric, trying to get people to purchase their starting entry to level of Porsche lineup. So would they make EVs cheaper? Most likely not, because they're not competing against the main category, which majority of the people are looking for, which is the low end. Now you go to Audi and you go to VW. So Audi is competing against BMW, Mercedes. That's their main category. Then that includes also Tesla, which brings down to Tesla. But before I get to Tesla, you should click the subscribe button down below and the like button so YouTube will notify you when I upload a new video. Then it goes down to VW. VW is basically trying to compete against Toyota and Honda. So if you look at like these structures like this, you can tell what type of EVs and what type of company is trying to compete at what level. And right now, the main question is who's competing at the super low end, which currently Chevy tried and they failed because part of GM, government motors. What do you expect? Expect the government to do anything right except for raising interest rates? But besides the point, I had a joke. You look at Tesla next. What is Tesla trying to compete in? So Tesla right now is trying to become like VW. They're trying to branch out the multiple sections. They're trying to go low end, which apparently they're not there yet because like Elon Musk asking autopilot and full self-driving be ready in the next year, and now it's 2023, getting closer to 2024. I don't think that's ever going to come out. And you have the plaid versions. You have S and X, which is basically, if you look at price point, because everything we look at is price per performance or price per dollar in the value of the product, which is looking around Porsche level. So you have their high-end products and you have their middle end. They don't have a low end. And their low end, they're competing, who you're competing against. You got the Model 3, you have the Model Y. Would that drive down prices? Yeah, Tesla dropped down prices. Their performance model is actually cheaper when they first released it. But that doesn't matter because people are not going to buy the performance model. There's a lot of people who are not car enthusiasts like myself who want to buy something like the most basic model to get them from point A to point B. Their basic Tesla, their standard model, they're supposed to be starting at 35 grand. And now what's it at? 43, 41? They dropped the $1,000, but still not lower what they initially went for, which was they try to go for 35. And thanks to inflation and a whole pandemic, no way. So in that case, they're competing against the mid-tier. The mid-tier right now, you're looking at, they're trying to bring it back to what the mid-tier price was back then, before all the pandemic and inflation and everything that drove prices up even higher than before. So you're looking at Audi, BMW, and Mercedes. Those are the main competitors within the US market. So Tesla itself is market itself right there. If you consider them as the low end, no. Like for example, they say they're going to release the Model 2. Until that happens, because the low end right now, you basically have no one competing against the low end. Because the low end literally is dominated by Toyota and Honda. Acura is an offshoot of Honda, which I'll be honest with you, that brand is a joke because no one knows about them. I drove the car myself. It's typical, but if I had another choice, I would have went to a Lexus because Toyota reliability. What can I say? Just like the subscribe button down below. Reliability for you guys who are watching this video. So right now, if EV prices need to go down, you need someone that's building products at the low end. So when you build products at low end, you have to make everything a lot simpler for manufacturing. Your engineering design has to be a lot more basic, meaning less curves on a panel. For example, in a video coming up I was shooting, which is taking longer than I expected, I'm so sorry, but like the Tesla has actually a lot of curves on the panel, especially the rear end of the car, the rear 1/3 of the car. The doors, the back panels, those curves, they require a lot of manufacturing expertise. And you look at the chassis, you look at suspension, and you look at materials used. That's costs a lot of R&D. Then, of course, the most expensive part is the battery. The battery itself, and you have the motor itself are really expensive too. Now, that is the question how you bring that cost down, because Toyota is currently not really invested into EVs because it makes sense. Why would it be invested in EVs when they have the whole entire global economy they have to deal with? Why doesn't everyone use electric? It's because it's all fun and games until you get shoved down the bill. Once the bill comes out, no one's laughing anymore. No one starts preaching like, hey, let's go save the planet. And you can't save the planet if you can't afford it. It all costs money. Where are you going to charge the car? Where are you going to park the car? How much a car costs to charge? How much does it cost to install a car charger? Because I can tell you that most people's homes, I'll say majority of them, do not have the correct rules and regulations or permits to have a car charger installed. And you hire a contractor, it's more than $1,000 thanks to today's inflation. For example, I'll shoot a video later on. My car charger requires a main panel upgrade, and just to move that and drag the wiring down to install a wall charger, which is another $450, and in total is $4,400. So if you want to save money on gas, you got to make up for that first. And second of all, saving money on gas, that's assuming you don't supercharge. If you live in a condo apartment, you will have to supercharge. Does it cost more than gasoline? Well, this is based on Tesla's own app. That's assuming the national average on gasoline prices in the United States. And currently, since I drive a lot, I have to supercharge during the day, meaning my electric costs cost more than gasoline. So that's what I meant by conflict of interest. When you're moving to electric, you have a lot of factors to contribute. And the best thing I can tell you, just like I mentioned in my previous videos, if you can take control and own everything that you have money expense coming in and out, then you can control what type of money gets spent, what type of product it gets used. In this case, you lose those type of control if you cannot charge your own vehicle. If you take it to a supercharger, and of course, I'm paying more money in gas. More money in electric than gas, unfortunately, for now. But once I include the car charger, it's a whole different story. So to wrap up this video is to understand, if you want EVs to be cheaper, right now the economy is not doing well, and you have no one competing in the low end. If you have someone start making vehicles in the low end, try to drop the price as much as possible, not Tesla's dropping $1,000 on their entry-level Model 3 and performance Model Y and 3, because it's still in the 40 grand range. You have to make a brand new product, which I'm hoping within a year or 2 years, when the economy picks back up, there'll be other brands come out, like I mentioned in a video I changed back then, which was from Alpha Motors. They are trying to gear towards the low end. If they make a vehicle that start going around the $30,000 mark, it will have people who want to come in and compete against them. And if you have more competition, prices will go lower. That's what it is. All you have to do is give it time. Because once time goes on, people will make more products and compete against each other. Then you have cheaper prices. And there's another thing you have to solve is electricity itself is not going to get cheaper because, like I mentioned, there's a conflict of interest. People are there to make money. Businesses are there to make money. So electricity is not going to be cheaper, unfortunately. So if gas wasn't taxed to oblivion, like for example in Europe, I'm pretty sure people, or any European viewers, which mainly sadly most people here is American viewers, if more of you click the subscribe button down below, then I'll cover more in Europe. But in this case, if gas wasn't taxed to oblivion, gas would actually be cheaper than electricity. And you must be crazy. It's actually true. Go look up, for example, the state of California, how much you get taxed per gallon. It's around 50 to 55 cents per gallon you get taxed on. So if that wasn't taxed to oblivion, actually gasoline would actually be cheaper electricity. And the reason why is most people cannot charge their cars at home. And you have to supercharge, you're looking at 48 cents up to 60 cents per kilowatt hour. And some people say, why is it so expensive? It really depends on your situation. For example, what state you live in, what bills you have to pay, what type of charger you have to install. When you install the charger, you have to answer so many questions. Like, does the panel have to be upgraded? Is the contractor ripping you off? There's so many questions that has to be answered. And this video is already getting long enough. And when I shoot the Tesla video, that one will explain more in depth what should financial situations you have to go through when purchasing an EV and what type of tax forms you need to do the tax write-off for federal credit and state credit, which so far I haven't really seen anyone really mention about it. That's it for this video. I kept you guys here long enough. Please click the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.